is growing outrage tonight after controversial comments from Israel's defense minister. Defense Minister Avigdor Liberman is calling for a boycott on Arabs living in the Wadi Ara region of Israel, asking Israeli citizens not to enter their shops or patronize their businesses. Liberman said it needs to be clear that those Arabs are not wanted and do not belong in Israel. Over the weekend, Israeli Arab rioters from that region threw rocks at cars, damaged buses, physically assaulted journalists, even threw molotov cocktails at police, and chanted anti-Israeli slogans. Liberman has personally long railed against Wadi Ara towns like al-Fahim, saying that those Arab towns are home to terrorists, they cheer terrorist attacks, they celebrate terrorist attacks, and they do not belong simply in the state of Israel any longer. Let's go live now to our correspondent, Ariel Levin-Waldman, who is in that region of Israel right now, home to many Israeli Arab towns, part of a region of Israel called the Triangle. Ariel, give us a sense on what's going on the ground now, reaction to the comments from the defense minister asking for a boycott against fellow Israeli Arab citizens. Do they feel it's a blanket statement that discriminates against everyone?
Well, he certainly kicked off a political firestorm for starters, and we have seen responses from just about every single corner of Israeli society. Among Israeli Arabs themselves, it of course varies person by person, some of which, very few obviously supporting Liberman, but some will come down entirely on the side of the Arabs, and others will come down on the side of Israel, saying that they feel that they are placed out of the society as a whole, that they are unfairly discriminated against by statements like that, and others saying that, well, they sort of have some sympathies towards the Palestinians involved. However, it's not just Israel's Arabs that are getting involved and weighing in on Liberman's own comments. There's been controversy in the highest levels of the government, down to non-government organizations, and then legions of op-eds in Israel's paper. Some of them calling for the opposite of a boycott, a boycott where people can flock to Wadi Ara and start buying things, patronizing shops, restaurants, and businesses here, and in al-Fahim. One of them actually planned for this Wednesday, a Hanukkah buy-in al-Fahim is one of the organized responses. In government, people in the left-wing parties and the left-wing coalitions worked outright calling Liberman's comments fascist, racist, and cutting out huge portions of the Israeli public. Now, it should be noted that in Israel, there are about 1.7 million Arab Israelis, and these protests we saw over the weekend had a few hundred out here protesting. Those few hundred protesting, as you had mentioned before, did cause some damage, throwing rocks at buses, injuring 3 people, and police have swept in, making 5 arrests since the weekend, 3 of them just in the early hours of the morning today. But as you can see, if there was any unrest before, there's absolutely no sign of it now. That minority has been largely tamped down on, which leaves the political firestorm the only thing burning here right now.
All right, Ariel Levin-Waldman reporting live on the reaction to that very controversial interview with the defense minister. Thank you, Ariel, for that live update.